What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are back with another monthly Q&A video, this one being the Q&A for June. As always, I wanted to give a massive thank you to my patrons at tier 3 or above. Kevin, Alice, Walker, Simon and Bear. You guys are absolute legends and I cannot thank you guys enough for the support. And that goes for the rest of my patrons as well as my channel members. You guys really do help allow me to continue making weekly content here on YouTube, and the support does not go unnoticed, so thank you all again for the support. Now, starting next month, I am actually going to be doing Patreon questions in these videos as well, so I'll probably do about half and half, with the Patreon questions getting the priority, but I will always make sure to answer some regular questions from Discord as well. So if you guys are interested in getting priority questions as well as just helping support the content that I make here on YouTube, then do consider checking out the Patreon, which is linked down in the description, as like I said, it does help me out a ton. But with that out of the way, guys, let's get stuck right into these questions. The first question we have here is from my man Doug, who says best unpopular Star Wars character. Now, I could look at this two ways. You could look at it as unpopular meaning someone who's like not very well known, or you could look at it as someone who's generally disliked. So I'm going to actually answer both. For someone who's not as well known, I've got to go with my man Max Rebo, which I know you'll like that answer, Doug. He is the objective king of Star Wars, and if you disagree, you are just wrong. However, as for like an unpopular one, as in someone that is generally disliked, I'm actually going to say Kylo Ren. I think Kylo got a lot of hate because, to be fair, he's not necessarily the best villain, and I even agree with that. I don't think he's necessarily a great villain, but I think as a character, like the conflict with him, it's very similar to Anakin, and I think that's actually kind of why a lot of people don't like him, because they thought he was just a rip-off of Anakin in a way. But yeah, for me personally, I actually really liked Kylo Ren, and I loved his arc in the sequels. I didn't really love the fact that he ended up turning at the end, although I didn't hate it either, but I would have liked him to actually go out as like a cool villain, because he was portrayed as a villain obviously the whole series. But yeah, I think he got a lot of hate, and personally he's probably one of my favourite characters in the sequels. So yeah, I think I'll go for Kylo Ren for characters who are probably mostly disliked. The next question comes from Star Wars Boy, who says, what's one of your Star Wars opinions that will have you ending up like this? Now, I honestly could just copy paste the answer I literally just said, because that probably would have me looking like that a little bit. But I think the one for me is, I actually think Rebels is better than the Clone Wars. I know a lot of people aren't going to like that, and don't get me wrong, I love the Clone Wars. I grew up with that show, absolutely one of my favourite shows of all time. But for me, the fact that Rebels was like a continual story from start to end, I think that's what made me actually enjoy it more than the Clone Wars. The best parts of the Clone Wars are definitely better than Rebels. I think there's so many arcs in Clone Wars that are just like top tier Star Wars, and they're probably better than anything we really saw in Rebels. However, that being said, the low parts of Clone Wars are absolutely terrible in my opinion. There's some arcs in there that are just like some of the worst Star Wars that I've ever really seen, to be honest, especially like the Clone Wars movie. That thing was absolutely terrible. And so the Clone Wars is a little bit like inconsistent. It's really, really good at points, and it's really, really shitty at points. Whereas with Rebels, I felt like it was kind of just like in the middle the whole time. It was, you know, never really terrible, but it was also never really like super amazing as the Clone Wars was. But for the most part, I did think that there was a lot of great stuff in there, and yeah, I really enjoyed the story from start to finish. There were definitely a few episodes in there that I could not care less about, but yeah, generally speaking, I think I actually prefer Rebels over the Clone Wars. So I think I'm going to be looking like that in the comments section after everyone absolutely roast me. But yeah, I think that's the answer to that question. The next question we have is from Freestyle Rascal, who says, what's one thing that you think should have never been added to Battlefront 2? Now, this could have me looking like the exact same picture in the last question as well, to be honest. And it's going to sound really weird when I first explain this, but I think Anakin Skywalker should have never been added, to be completely honest. Now, Anakin as a character, obviously he should have been in there since launch, in my opinion. He's literally the main character of Star Wars. So I think he should have been there from the start, and I don't think that they shouldn't have added him as a character. But what I mean is that he is probably the most broken character or thing in any multiplayer game that I've really ever played before, or at least for such an extended period of time. Obviously there's been stuff in other games that are like completely broken, but they generally get fixed within like a week or two. Anakin was straight up like God mode for literally 6 months. They nerfed him about 3 times, and he was still just shitting on everyone all over the game. Every time you saw Anakin, you just knew, oh well, that game's over, I'll just wait till we get to the next game, and then someone else would pick Anakin because he was just so much better than everyone else. So as an actual character, like obviously he should be in Battlefront 2, he's the main character of Star Wars, but the way that they added him and the abilities that he had and just how strong he was, I honestly think it was one of the worst things to ever happen to Battlefront 2, because it really did feel like they were playing catch catch up once he got added. Like as soon as they added him, they just spent months and months trying to nerf him and balance everyone else, and all the other heroes that were good before that, they then became trash, and then they had to like buff everyone else. Before he got added, it was actually pretty balanced. The month before that was the Dooku update, and that was probably the most balanced the game had ever been, to be honest. There was really not anyone that was like completely broken. Obviously Vader and Palpatine and stuff was still really good, but I remember back then like Bosk was really good. You could play as Iden, you could play as like anyone that you wanted to, and you never felt like you were at a huge disadvantage. Whereas once Anakin got added, like everyone on the dark side other than pretty much Vader were just completely buggered. If you were playing as any character other than Vader, and this includes Palpatine, then if you saw an Anakin on the other team, you would run away because you knew you were going to die to him. Perfect example being Bosk. Bosk was probably arguably the best character in the game before Anakin actually dropped. He was really balanced, like he wasn't OP, but he was just really good if you knew how to use him, and once Anakin dropped, he was just completely terrible. You could never use him again pretty much. At least not until Anakin got, finally nerfed about 12 months later. But yeah, sounds like a really weird answer saying Anakin should have never been added. Obviously as a character he should have, but the way that they added him, I honestly wish that they never did it, because it really did hinder the game from there on out. The next question comes from Sam the Man, who says, what's your favourite part about being a YouTuber? That's a tough one to answer, because honestly there's like so many things that I love about it. I think the main thing, which is not really something I expected when I first started on YouTube, is the community side of things. When I first started, I'd never really been a part of like a YouTube community before, so I didn't really experience it as a subscriber, for example. So I kind of was just under the assumption it was you upload a video, people watch it, and then you just go to the next video kind of thing. But I quickly realized that you get the same people coming back in the comments section, you set up a Discord and everyone starts joining, and you actually start to meet so many great people. And so even though that's something I didn't really expect when I started, it's definitely become my favorite part of it. Just all the amazing people that I've met in the Discord and on streams and stuff like that. And even like other YouTubers and stuff, I've made some genuine like lifelong friends from YouTube that I never expected that to happen. So I think honestly just the community side of it, like there's so many other things I could go on about, being able to be my own boss and talk about Star Wars all day and stuff like that. Those are obviously great too, but I think the main thing for me probably is just the community aspect of it. The next question comes from Jadins, who says, this is actually another YouTube related one. He says, what's the number one thing that you think helped you grow on YouTube? I'm not too sure if I can point to one specific thing necessarily, because it's kind of like a combination of a bunch of different things, but probably the most important thing really is just like the dedication to it, really, which I guess covers everything from like consistency and enjoying it and trying to put in quality videos and stuff like that. They probably all come under like dedication in a way, but yeah, really just the fact that I've been so consistent at it over the last 3 years. And I guess more specifically is probably just trying to make like higher quality stuff, like really well edited videos and stuff like that, rather than just straight gameplay videos, for example. There's obviously nothing wrong with doing that type of content, it's just that everyone else does that. So I think, yeah, the main thing really is just doing something different, doing something that when people watch it, they go like, oh shit, that was pretty good, I want to watch more of that. And I think that's probably the main thing that like kickstarted the channel, was just doing stuff like the map guides and the hero guides, where it's something that people in the community probably hadn't really seen before, or at least to that level. Most people, again, had done hero guides, but it's just like straight gameplay and they're talking over it. Whereas I think like showing the stuff on screen and just putting a bit more effort into it, I think that was the main thing that really, got the channel rolling. And yeah, once that ball did start rolling, it was just the consistency over the next, 3 years until now, pretty much, to just keep trying to put in that same amount of effort over such a long period of time, really. Because yeah, you can upload one really high quality video and it might get 1 million views, but that's not going to sustain your channel over a long period of time. So just trying to find what works and putting in that effort, and then once it does start working, just doing it over and over again, essentially. I think that's the main thing that really helped with the growth on YouTube. And the last question for today's video comes from Infinoid, and this is actually kind of another YouTube question as well. He says, do you edit your own videos and make your own effects? If so, how did you learn it and which programs do you use? So yeah, everything that you guys see on the channel is pretty much all made by me. There's been a few, like, I guess, help with thumbnails and stuff over the time, but pretty much like 99% of the stuff that you guys see is all made by myself. As for how did I learn it, lots of time researching it and just watching tutorials and stuff on YouTube and just playing around with the programs, really just trying to, just figure it out myself for the most part. I think that combined with, just doing it over such a long period of time, you obviously just, if you do something for 3 years, you're going to get decent at it, really. So that's pretty much just how I learned it, just, figuring out what I wanted to do and then just looking that up on YouTube or whatever and just trying to see if there's anyone else that's teaching it and stuff like that. As for which programs do I use for editing, I use Premiere Pro at the moment, but I actually started using Sony Vegas Pro. But yeah, I have switched to Adobe Premiere Pro. I pretty much use all Adobe products now. So Photoshop for thumbnails, Premiere Pro for like regular videos, and then for like effects, for example, making like the intro and stuff like that, I use After Effects. So everything is pretty much just Adobe stuff now. But anyway guys, that is going to do it for another monthly Q&A. As always, if you guys do want to ask your own questions, then feel free to join the Discord through the link down in the description, or like I said, if you do want to get priority on these questions, then consider heading over to Patreon. Not only do you guys get some awesome little rewards over there, but that does help me out a lot in continuing to make content here on YouTube. So like I said, be sure to check that out if you guys are interested. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like down below, and if you are new, then consider subscribing to the channel with those notifications on. Thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.
Crush them! Make them suffer!